this very important consultation, which I hope will move us to being truly a nation of sanctuary for refugees and asylum seekers. But I don't think we should ever underestimate the amount of daily racism and prejudice that asylum seekers and refugees do face. I support very strongly that this plan is being made in conjunction with refugees and asylum seekers. I think that's absolutely crucial, and I think it's a very important message the Leader of the House gave, that it's all our responsibility to make people feel welcome, and great examples of that has been mentioned. And I know Narberth and Lantford Major have been mentioned today, and I know that Hay, Brecon and Talgarth City of Sanctuary Group have been doing events all over Powys in village halls, giving refugees a day out in the countryside to make them feel welcome, and that's been very successful. But it is, as the Leader of the House said, not a one-way system, because we do gain so much from people who have come here to our country. And I wondered if the Leader of the House could update us about whether has been any progress about asylum seekers being able to work. Because one of the biggest issues that I've faced with asylum seekers is sometimes their inability to take up a job because of the policy from the Westminster government. And many people have said to me, all I want to do is work, and they haven't been able to do that. The Welsh Government-funded initiative that Jane had put forward about doctors getting their qualifications is absolutely great. And I was very pleased that the Leader of the House said that this could perhaps be considered for all other qualifications. So I don't know whether there's any actual plans to do that. If there are, perhaps you could tell us the details. And then the other issue that I feel very concerned about is asylum-seeking young people who want to go to university, because when these asylum claims drag on for years sometimes, and I've had lots of examples of young people, young asylum seekers, children of asylum seekers who've not been able to take up places in university because they haven't been able to get funding. So I don't know if there's any progress on that, or anything that the government can do. And I'd just like to end by mentioning a great initiative in Llanishen High School in my constituency, which has just been awarded School of Sanctuary status. Sian Owens, a member of staff there, has spearheaded a fantastic awareness-raising programme where the young people have gone and spoken to different groups, have learned about what happens in detention centres, and have received training from Hope Not Hate. And it really seems a fantastic initiative, and I'm sure she'd want to join me in congratulating them on what they've done.
Leader of the House.
Yes, that's a really great initiative, and the more that can be encouraged to ensure that young people have a mutual understanding of how they got to be where they are and what they bring to the party, the better. She asked a number of questions which I can just quickly say something about. And we are very interested in looking at schemes to recognise other qualifications, but actually what we want to do first is see if we can extend the medical one to other clinicians and then extend it out. But I'm due to have conversations with various cabinet secretaries about how we can take that forward as part of the work that we were doing, because I'm very keen that we should allow people to make the full contribution that they can make to our society. In terms of the work, we haven't made any headway, I'm sorry to say, about allowing asylum seekers to work, but there is even an issue with volunteering, because you're only allowed to volunteer with a charity, and in large parts of rural Wales, if you can't volunteer with a business, then you're not really going to be able to volunteer at all. So I've made that point forcibly a number of times to UK government ministers, and we are hopeful that they will at least look at that bit of it, but there's no meeting of minds on the subject of work in general. In terms of what asylum seekers give back, and after all, Deputy Presiding Officer, this is a celebration of refugees and asylum seekers, and we've hit a somewhat doleful note with some of the problems. I will just highlight that in my own constituency, as well as in many others, many members have already mentioned, there is a brilliant project where asylum seekers a writing project, and they write the most incredible stories and poems, sometimes about their experiences, but sometimes just general things. And it really is a great scheme. And I have a number of books which, for a small donation to a charity of my choice, I can share with you. And you can just read them in my room if you're not prepared to put your hand in your pocket for the charity. But I do have a large supply of them, should members want to take advantage of that, because I support that project. And I just want to say this, that Refugee Week is an umbrella festival, and the events have a wide range of arts, voluntary, faith and refugee community organisations, schools, student groups and more. And they include arts festivals, exhibitions, film screenings, theatre and dance performances, concerts, football tournaments and public talks, as well as creative and educational activities in schools. So, Deputy Presiding Officer, despite the gloom and despondency that we seem to have been experiencing, but which I understand entirely, I do want to emphasise that this is a festival of a celebration of the contribution that refugees and asylum seekers make to our society.
Finally, Bethan Sayed.
Thank you. I wasn't going to speak, and then I felt that I wanted to, because I've done quite a lot of work in this area. And when somebody mentioned earlier these people, I suddenly thought of the fact that they're not just these people. They have